Okay, so this is the last video in our article marketing training series where we're presenting information around article marketing in particular as a key and vital marketing method for promotion of any and all websites out there. And from myarticlenetwork.com, we're going to end by talking about article spinning or article rewriting as really a method to leverage your content a lot better than you currently are. We asked the question in the last video of how do we create sustainable article content. Now, let's address that first with some facts. Articles take time and money to create. Whether or not you're doing them yourselves or outsourcing them, you have to monitor the outsourcing, you have to write content yourself, you have to pay for this to get done. Those are all important factors, and your time is money. Now, once you create this content, submission of that content in and of itself is going to take time, especially when it's done right. We also talked about link weights. Links are not weighted heavily due to out of context placement about the author box itself, which creates an issue in the not just the sustainability but the effectiveness of article marketing itself. But the bigger issue, and I'd say the biggest issue, is that eventually Google will remove websites with multiples of your content to which ends up reducing the number of backlinks to your website. With all this in mind and all these facts in mind, the easiest and the best way to leverage the content that you have and to decrease these issues that we've talked about here for traditional marketing is actually article spinning. And by spinning, what we're talking about is actually rewriting your existing content or creating multiple versions of your existing content. Now, let's just walk through a very quick example. So let's say you've gone out and you've written an article. Your article's on shoes, because we talked about running shoes before. So you take your article, and rather than just having 7 articles written on running shoes, why not just take your running shoe article and create multiple versions of that article by rewriting the title and the body content? So in terms of Google, it looks at duplicate content. Now I'm saying that in quotes, duplicate content, because again, there is no duplicate content filter. What there is a competition filter. So you're competing for the same exact content on multiple sites. Now, by creating multiple versions of your content, by altering the title, altering the body content, just a sentence here, a sentence there, this modifies the chances of you actually getting picked up and removed from the index with the same exact article because you've changed both the title, and we know that the title tag and alterations in the title tag are one of the biggest things that keeps you out of basically what's seen as the supplemental index anymore, but also it's one of the biggest things which will not flag you for competing with another site for the same exact piece of content. So this is kind of the hub of article spinning. Now, how you really ramp it up is that by creating these multiple versions, you submit them to unique directories. So essentially you're submitting unique content to unique directories. So you take that one article now, turn it into a bunch of articles, maybe 3 or 4 even, and you submit those out to unique directories. And now instead of having that one article, now you have several versions of your article all working to build backlinks for you. So now you have more unique content, you decrease the chance of getting backlinks filtered out, and you get a heck of a lot more usage out of one single piece of content. So you can see how you're leveraging both your time and your money very effectively. So my initial take on article spinning as a whole, and I'm wholly admitting this, is that A, it was a waste of time. It produced low value content. So if you use some of the early article spinners, they would go through and they would automate the process, and they would just kind of switch out adjectives or change out nouns for other nouns, and then you go back and you read it. And ultimately, it wouldn't make sense. And just from an SEO standpoint, and this was in the first video that we talked about here, content is king, and junk content is absolutely worthless to you. Producing content that does nothing for end users does nothing for you in terms of SEO. And I'd say the same exact thing with article spinning. If you spin an article and it ends up being junk, it's not going to help your search engine rankings, and it will not bring you any additional traffic. So article spinning has a perception of being poor crap content, but in reality what you're doing is you're taking your quality content and just tweaking it and rewording it and rephrasing it. You're not decreasing the quality of it, you're decreasing your risk of getting picked up or getting removed from those multiple locations that you once had with that single piece of content. I mean, and this is kind of still a standing issue. It would take me just as much time and just as much money to produce brand new content as it would to spin content with the current applications that are out there. So, is article spinning worth it? And in reality, absolutely. Up and down, every single time I've had this argument with myself and I've looked at results that I've seen with these multiple articles, because I know how effective a single article will be. If I take that single article and multiply it by 4, then of course it's worth it. Absolutely it's worth it. Now, there's a lot of resources out there right now that can help you with the spinning process. So, for instance, Article Apps. It's a free resource which helps the process of rewriting your content itself. But, of course, you have to ask this question as we evolve as marketers. Is there a better, more effective way to do this? Spinning definitely does help resolve some issues, and the biggest of all is reducing the number of backlinks. It gets rid of that, not entirely, but it definitely lessens the severity of that reduction in backlinks that you will get over time from Google. But it doesn't get rid of the time and the money aspect, because I still have to go through the process of rewriting my content. So either I'm personally doing that, which is time, or I'm paying somebody else to rewrite my content, which is money. It also doesn't eliminate the submission process, which also takes time and also takes money. This becomes yet another issue because my time is money, so now I'm still wrestling with the fact that I have to deal with this extra time and this extra money I have to spend to make article spinning an effective means for me. Now, the last one, and I consider this to be a very important one, is that you still don't resolve the issue of link weighting. So you don't get rid of the issue about the author box, and the sheer fact that about the author box is placed so low down on the page and on your content. Ask yourself the question, what if you had a tool that streamlines the spinning process, automates syndication, and increases the value of backlinks that you do get in Google? So when you're working to spin this content and you are spending the money and the time to go through that, when you're getting those links, they mean something to you. They will mean traffic, and more importantly, they will mean rank, which also means traffic. So more traffic, better rank. These are good things for us. So your answer to this question is definitely going to be myarticlenetwork.com. Now the reason is that instead of going through the process of trying to syndicate your content through article directories, now you can automate the process by sending your content to a network of blogs, and we're talking over 10,000 blogs right now that are specifically built out for this particular network. So now we're promoting content within a network of blogs that is basically an SEO monster. So now we're working with a situation where instead of having to work to the mercy of the effectiveness of the article directories and hoping that webmasters pick up our content and republish it, now you're taking your content and you're immediately publishing it to over 10,000 different blogs almost instantly. Now the beauty of this is, instead of having your About the Author box very low on the page, decreased weight in terms of effectiveness, now, with my article network, when you syndicate your content, rather than having just the About the Author links at the bottom, instead you're getting in-context anchor text links within the body of the content. These are the links that Google loves to see, and Google weights much more heavily. So instead of publishing, which is obviously an article that was picked up from a directory, now instead you're publishing an article on a blog which looks like the blog wrote it. It looks like it was a resource which was paid for or pulled in from somewhere else, instead of obviously seeing that somebody farmed this content from a directory. This adds credibility to your content, additional credibility, additional trust, additional weight, pushes all that back to increase rankings, which leads to increased traffic. Also, syndication is automated. Spin your article once, submit your article once, and then it grows on its own for you. So you don't have to go through the process of hand submitting beyond iSnare like you normally do. So you don't have to go through and filter out all the different directories and where that goes in this one and versus that one, and tweak your content based off of the formatting for one versus the other. It's a one-time deal for every single article that you do. And the beauty of it is, in the syndication, the beauty of the syndication is that not only is it going to submit your single article, it's also going to submit every single version of your spun article at the same time. So where I go in and I say, okay, well, here's my article, here's my 4 spun versions of it. It's going to sort out and it's going to syndicate all 4 versions of that article to different blogs of this entire set of 10,000 at the same time without me having to do anything. And it's going to trickle in so you get a very natural backlink profile like we always want to see in Google. Also, you can spin titles, body links, body text, links, anchor text. All of this is done very easily throughout their interface in such a way that context does not suffer. You're not automating the spinning near as much as you are with some other applications, so you definitely do not suffer the quality of your content. So what you are doing is that you're using this application, you're using this interface to build out very good quality spun text, and as a result, it's a very good quality article at the end of the day. So basically what My Article Network does is it looks at the flaws of normal article marketing and addresses each and every one of them to help make your content as effective as it can possibly be. Now, if you're on the fence and if you're not necessarily sure how about a network of blogs like this, how effective it could possibly be, let me throw a couple stats at you. And this is pulled from the site at varying points of time. So, I'll look tomorrow and maybe this shifts a couple percent. But when we last looked at it, over 11% of the sites in our network have #1 Google rankings. That's over 10,000 blogs. So keep that in mind. Number 2, over 60% of the sites in the network on the first page of Google. And I can attest, getting on the first page of Google is a major step. And as we saw from the eye tracking study and the click tracking studies, first page of Google will get you some traffic. Not nearly as much as the #1 ranking, but getting on the first page is a big, big step for a lot of people. Now, if that's not enough, over 80% of the sites in our network are in the top 2 pages of Google. So 8,000 of the blogs that are listed within our network have pages in the top 2 of Google. That's amazing. So if we're looking at the power and the strength of this network, now you're talking about ranking and submitting, or you're talking about submitting your content to these 11% of sites that are already ranking #1 in Google, and these 60% of sites that are on the first page. And we know from our experience as SEOs that if your content is on sites which already have authority, which already are trusted, which already do rank, you're going to be standing a much, much better position to rank for your key terms as well. So to put this in perspective, we're really talking about expanding your online empire and as Matt likes to put it, building out your virtual real estate. So now instead you're taking your content and you're leveraging that content. You're making multiple versions of that content which are unique to the search engines. And for every version of that content, you're syndicating that content. And if you just look at this and you look at the ballooning effect of this particular one, and this is just a very, very simple example, you look at how quickly you can scale up one single piece of content to multiple links in it that appear unique to the search engines, which definitely is not happening with the traditional methods of article marketing. And of course, the end result of this is going to result in a lot more backlinks than what you saw before. And these backlinks are going to be in context backlinks, which are going to carry a lot more weight in Google. So let's take a quick minute to walk through My Article Network. I'll show you some of the ropes. I'll show you the actual interface itself, and you'll see exactly how easy it is to spin your content and see exactly how effective this can be to boost the quality of your article marketing. Okay, so I went ahead and I logged into myarticlenetwork.com, and this is basically the interface that you're going to see on a regular basis. You go in, you can manage your sites. So this is the portion where you go in and you actually manage the sites themselves. So you're not just running article promotions, you're actually participating in the network. And as we build the network, we build the net worth of My Article Network for everyone, which makes it a great tool, which in reality is in its infancy in terms of how effective it's going to be for promoting everyone's article content from years and years and years down the road. So you're not just necessarily doing the site aspect, you're also building a great resource in terms of a blog, which you will also be able to leverage over the long term. So you can add your sites, you can manage your site content right here. Also, there's a section for statistics where you can go through and you can see how effective your articles are being, how many times they've been picked up in the system. So of the 10,000 blogs that are in the system, how many times they've been republished or picked up by other webmasters. There's some great tutorials in here. There's ways to manage your account, but of course the most important part for you is going to be your article section itself. Now, I'm going to walk through the process of a single submission and show you the different tools you have for spinning your content before you actually submit it, just so you know how easy this is and how effective this is going to be in terms of generating that great content for you. So I pulled out my credit card article, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, just for the sake of moving ahead, accounting. And my old article was credit card expenses are killing your budget. So I'll put that in as my title. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the entire article body right here, dump it in. And keep in mind, with this system, you don't need an About the Author box. It's not that type of system. So don't worry about creating an About the Author box. So right here, I have my old About the Author box, but I'm just going to get rid of it because I don't need it. Now, after it's created like this, after all your content's put in, you want to add those anchor text links, right? So instead of just going through the process of putting it way at the bottom, I can put them way at the top. So say I wanted to rank for credit cards, I just highlight this right here, click on hyperlink. So I click the little link symbol, it pulls up a dialog box. I just say link URL, website.com, insert, boom, I have my credit card link right there. And now I can add up to 3 of these. So if I want to scroll down and I want to say, okay, here I want this one to be an anchor text link too. So I say credit card bill. Same thing, maybe I want this to go to a sub page. So instead of sending all my traffic to one page, I'm going to do website.com credit card bills. So this is a sub page that's targeted this particular term. And then I get one more of these. So let's go, I don't know, grace periods, just for the heck of it. So I get a third one. Maybe I want to cross-link the same keyword I did in the beginning. Maybe I want to do another page. So let's just say I do another page and we'll call this grace periods. Okay, so I have 3 pages that I'm promoting, all using anchor text links, all within the body of the content itself, which is significantly different than what you get with normal article marketing. I can also add tags, so I can say credit cards, credit card bills, grace periods. If you can embed YouTube videos, you can set the anchor text for the YouTube videos. You can set a distribution limit if you really want to do that. Setting a distribution limit will limit the amount of times an article is actually published. This is my article, of course, and then, okay. So I want to save that as a draft. So now I'm at the point where it's asking me to rewrite my article. So now I'm at the point where I'm actually spinning my content. And I love the interface for this because I think it puts it in such a way that makes it very simple for a rewrite, because most oftentimes what you're doing is you have an article in front of you. So you have this in front of you, okay? I need to rewrite this content right here. How do I do it? So I sit here and I delete this line and I rewrite it and I see how it fits, and then I go through, what else am I going to rewrite? I delete this line here and then I rewrite it, and it becomes a very manual process and it becomes very subjective. But what I like about this is it puts it right in front of you in small pieces, so it's something that you can get a hold of. So instead of credit card expenses are killing your budget, say credit card fees can really... Okay, so let's just say I do that. That's a totally different title than what I have here. By all means, if we're looking at these in terms of titles, page titles, a search engine would see the relationship, but it wouldn't immediately filter the two out because they do have a certain degree of uniqueness to them. So if I hit continue, I get prompted now for up to 34 different sentences, and that number is based off of the amount of content they actually have in your article, which I can immediately just rewrite. Now, I'm served this based off of whatever my content is. So say I don't want to rewrite this sentence. I'll just say, so it says you need to take a close look at the fine print and find out what type of grace period you have. So if I want to rewrite this, say, be sure to the fine print in your credit card to see the actual grace period for... So this was right off the top of my head. This was just based off of this one sentence, and I've rewritten it. And generally what I like to do is when I'm rewriting, I'll rewrite 5, 10, maybe even 15 sentences, and I'll do it one by one, and I'll just say, okay, here's my sentence, what's another variation, how can I say this? And it does it one by one by one, and it's feeding me content to rewrite. I can make a decision whether or not I want to rewrite it or not. But at the end of the day, what it does is it's feeding me easy little pieces of content to rewrite. So at the end of the day, it's going to say, okay, well, your article's rewritten 114%, your body's only 3%. Obviously, this isn't enough to go to market in, but what I want to do is I want to get to a to a point where I have a significant portion of the body rewritten and a significant portion of the article title rewritten. The title in particular is very important. The body as well is important. Definitely not necessarily as important of a thing to get to 100% or more. Now, the other thing that's really unique about this system, which I like a lot, is that not only can you spin your content, you can actually spin your links. Spinning your content is one thing. Spinning your links becomes a much different thing, which you definitely don't have available in a lot of other locations. So instead of saying, do you know the fees, do you know the costs associated with your credit card? Let's say maybe on another version of this article, I don't want it to say credit card. Maybe I want it to say debit card. So instead, I'm going to set a bracket here, and there's directions to do this, so I'm just going to walk through it myself, and you guys can go ahead and take steps to go through the tutorials. But say I want to do debit card instead. So instead, I'm saying, do you know the fees associated with your debit card? So I'm spinning not necessarily just content, I'm spinning anchor text links, which gives me a much larger breadth of anchor text visualization, which I don't normally have with spinning. So here I can send this to a different page if I want. I'm just going to send it to website.com. So I could spin the URL, I could spin the actual anchor text itself. So I'm spinning these, so when different versions of this get served, one may say credit card, one may say debit card, but also the anchor text varies. So if I refresh this page, you can see how my title changes and my anchor text changes. So if you're having multiple variations, now you're in a position where you're leveraging multiple versions of your anchor text and multiple versions of your article, and you can see how the effectiveness of this tool just balloons out very, very rapidly. So I can't say enough about this type of tool and about spinning content and about the ease and effectiveness of My Article Network in terms of leveraging your article content for real backlinks which generate lots of rank and lots of traffic. Go ahead, check it out. It's at myarticlenetwork.com and see for yourself.